Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy, the I Ching parentheses Wilhelm in parentheses. This is Harry and Sally. Anyway, part 8, in which we'll pick up right where Frater BT left off in part 7. Okay, good enough. Cool, yeah, so this is one of the red and white 14s, which refers to that it's the 14th of the cycle of 15, and it's red and white. And red means Gwydion, guy with the hat, and white means I Ching, at least these days. And yeah, so that's a compilation of some of the fun stuff. There's some fun stuff at the end of these. And, you know, if you like I Ching, then the rest of it's fun too. This is also the point in the quinary, meaning so each of these three is a quinary. So it starts with Carl Jung's black books, then Nag Hammadi, the purple, then Divine Pymander these days, the orange, and then the I Ching, the white. And so what happens is people get interested in Nag Hammadi and Divine Pymander, and they subscribe. And there's a certain percentage of the people who subscribe because of their interest in these two that will unsubscribe when we get to the I Ching. For whatever reason, I'm not here to call anyone racist. It just started raining. But yeah, no, that happens. They're just like, I Ching! I thought this was Divine Pymander. Yeah, no, it's 5 things. 5 things at a time. And then as we wrap up, you know, then each thing and each petal gets replaced, and sometimes with something that's sort of on theme, like Teilhard de Chardin transitioned into Nag Hammadi, and sometimes things that are less on theme, like Martin Luther transitioned to Divine Pymander. White petal is pretty on theme. This is the white petal. It started with Secret of the Golden Flower, then Tao Te Ching, and then I Ching Walker, and now it's I Ching Wilhelm. So we're going to dip a little bit into the Walker. Sounds funny. Never mind. And we also do beverage and incense, fire, and water. Today's beverage is coconut water, and there's water coming down from the sky, which is particularly exciting because monsoon season was running late on account of the gargantuan El Nino, or whatever they're calling it. That's a worldwide thing, so you might be familiar with it wherever you are on the globe. Cheers. And this rain really just got going today, finally. It's happy Father's Day and happy summer solstice. Father's Day was yesterday. I think summer solstice was yesterday too. I haven't checked, but today's the 22nd. And usually it's earlier in June. Sometimes it's late in May that the monsoon season really gets started here in Goa, India. But this year it's June 22nd. So we went for a little drive in the rain this morning. That was nice. And now, surprisingly, just started to be background alongside the Tangerine Dream Ricochet for this episode. So that's nice. I think it's nice. Some of you might recall. Let's do another. Let's just do 4 seconds of the 15 seconds. Right. So that was last time. That was right after whatever that was, Divine Pymander. We went on a long drive. Turned out it was very hot, and then it was freezing in the car. Like AC was up high, and it was a long drive, and getting in and out of the car, and the ground was hot and everything. Something about the whole experience. We all got sick. It started with, it seemed like a heat stroke for me, but then I started getting like flu symptoms, and then everybody else in the house got it too. So that's been fun. Today is my first day of feeling symptom-free, but still kind of wonky. So I don't know if you noticed, some people might have noticed I've been making some very silly things like the 15 CPCPs video. I recommend that, actually. It's always, I don't know, it's interesting to me how when I make these long form videos and I talk for like an hour and a half, and even in an hour or half an hour, whatever it is, even in the context of making all of these, even when it's a longer form, sometimes basic ideas that I think I'm getting across aren't coming across, or structures of context, or general ideas like I think I'm saying this, but in the process of illustrating what I'm trying to say, I paint a little picture to maybe draw an allegory to the thing that I'm saying, but then the little picture I painted ends up coming across as its own thing that isn't really that related to what I was trying to say. And then it's even worse when I make the compilation videos or the shorts. That's one reason why I kind of go back and forth on the shorts is I'll be like, oh, this little 1 minute clip out of the video is nice to make a short out of, but then on its own, out of context, it has its own kind of life. It's like if you took someone's spleen and gave it little eyes and legs and let it run around, it would not represent the human that it came from very well. People might think it was some kind of monster or something. Yeah. And that's how it is with my compilation videos at times. And yeah, so I'm doing like X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A1, A2, A3 axes. So like a 17-dimensional approach toward just like, okay, my dad used to say, he was a college professor, tell him what you're going to say it, tell him what you said. No, I think that's a bunch of bullshit. No, for a certain context, like if you're talking to an idiot. But what I like to do is say it, and then spray it. No, say it, and then like weave a weird basket out of it, and then kind of go in and out and pop, and then, I don't know, flashing colors and, things like that. What am I talking about? Doesn't matter. But that's the 15 CPCPs is the kind of the culmination of all of that. It's like the hub around which the whole thing revolves, because the 15 CPCPs video is a synopsis of the 15 CPCPs intros, and the 15 CPCPs are the 15 chicken philosophy color pairs, which are the personas with book, which they're not like it'll be like episode 12, episode 17, episode 20, episode 23, and then it gets going and it's okay, so it's every 3 episodes. But if you literally just watch them all, the content wouldn't actually connect with itself internally. The only thing that they have in common is the color combination, the persona with the particular book, but I find that fun. But I find that more as like an entry point or an amusing sort of like, oh, it's when this, like every time I wore a red shirt, let's put all the red shirt videos together. But like as far as any kind of coherent thing, through line running through it, you won't find one. And so yeah, it's just a very silly way of organizing it. So it's not even really, I mean, it is a kind of organization, but it's more of like a decorative arrangement of things. Like if you just arranged everything in a room for purely aesthetic purposes and ignored practicality entirely, then it's kind of like that. Anyway, it's enough about that. Okay, so it's been, I don't know how long it's been. It seems like it's been a week. And today I'm actually supposed to be doing Padmasambhava, but I didn't feel like putting on Pymander's robe and sitting there and reading Padmasambhava today. So that'll be coming out soon. I always work it out. So like instead of like it's two chicken philosophies for one Buddhist books, this is Buddhist books. But when I do 3 chicken philosophies for Buddhist books, then I do 1 for a minute until I'm back on track. So that'll be happening in the relatively near future, is the Padmasambhava. And that Nagarjuna is not my favorite, it turns out. I mean, I kind of had a feeling he wouldn't be, but I didn't know I was going to be this irritated by it. It's like it's so irritating that it kind of throws the whole Buddhist books podcast energy off a little bit when it so so it's instead of a cycle of 15, it's just a 10. So it's just based on the 10. So when it gets to the 9, that's when now we read Mula Madhya Maka Karika, which I called last time something about debate bro gish galloping sophistry. Because the whole context was like that Buddhism was on trial, and there were 14 different Theravadan orders that all had like different ways of dealing with being questioned about things that have nothing to do with Buddhism. Like, what is the origin of the universe? What is the most fundamental element? And they're all like, and this camp would be like consciousness, and this one would be like dirt, and this one would be like, water, nothingness, and so it was kind of making them look foolish. And then along came Nagarjuna, who was just the ultimate debate bro, gish galloping sophist for Buddhism. And so people would say, how do you justify that Buddhism should exist and get money from the king? And he would say some bullshit, and they'd be like, wow, we're so intimidated and impressed by that bullshit that okay, I guess Buddhism should continue to exist and flourish. And then from that point on, like everyone in Mahayana, everyone in Vajrayana, Tibetan Buddhism, Shingon Buddhism, and everyone in Zen is making reference to Nagarjuna's stuff that he said as, the great Nagarjuna, these things are important. And so they've kind of become synonymous with, when people think of Buddhism, then they think of Nagarjuna going, self is self, not self. Self, it is wrong to say that self, 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 and it is wrong to say that self, 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 self. Non-self, self. If you say non-self, then self, and if it's self, then if it's non-self. And then the Hindus are like, this guy doesn't exist. I guess we win because we exist. And that's that whole thing. So it's like 150 AD debates going on to determine who should get money from the emperor. And that's one of, I didn't even realize that was something that I wanted to get back behind to the original teachings of pre-sectarian early Buddhism, which is what we are doing whenever there's a little Dharma wheel. So the 3, the 4, the 6, and so on, the 7, and the... Anyway, so that's what's going on over there. So we just had the Nagarjuna. Next will be Padmasambhava, which I enjoy. It's very poetic. It's like channeled weirdness. It's one of these... Well, enough about that. I had this drink called Zen that I was going to drink, but then Pew and I drank it the other day because it was just like a special moment, and I was like, no, this is more important than chicken philosophy, and so we just shared it while we were sitting looking at the view. And so next time I see Zen around, it's this drink somewhere on the screen. It's popping up because I know I have pictures of it. I already did this. Wow. Okay, so yeah, I was making these silly, like I made this just in the past few days. I've been making all these really silly compilation things, which I don't know if you're into that. They're fun. They're scattered on the different channels, but they're all like collaborations with chicken philosophy. Some of them are on chicken philosophy, but and I got tired of making those, and I wanted to record something, and so that's what we're doing here. That's my actual motivation for being here, talking to you, saying all this right now. And it's a little bit premature. I don't know what my brain is supposed to be like. Probably not much better than this, but this is what we've got for today, is this rambling, still kind of fluey brain we're going to do this. So next what we're going to do is we're going to choose one of these last 6 I Ching figures that we have not put up on the screen to be our general guide for the episode yet. And since there's 6, let's call the top one 1 and the bottom one 6, and we'll roll this around all nice. And we got 2, see? So that's card number 2. And it's figure 22, And from the bottom up, it's solid, broken, broken, solid. And I don't know immediately what the trigrams are. They're not that stuck in my brain just yet. But Editor Edward is going to turn up the Tangerine Dream Ricochet while I look that one up. Okay, so it's PI, which maybe is P. Oh, by the way, someone commented on Divine Pymander Part 1 saying, instead of, I've been saying Poimandres, and he was saying, it really irritates me when you know, oh, well, yeah, when a Greek word is put in English letters, they turn that Greek letter into that Roman letter, and that Greek letter into that Roman letter. And so if you were looking at an English word for the first time, you might guess that it's something like Poimandres, or Poimanders if you were, you know, using the way you speak in regular English. But no, it's Pymandres. Is it? Is that how I should be saying Poimandres? Is Pymandres? Well, shit. All right. I don't know. Whatever. Should I? I'll probably just make fun of it. I was thinking of... what's the name of the guy, the urine guy on Rick and Morty? The guy with the P? I'll probably have him pop up on the screen. So that'll be the... Anyway, the fruit of all of this. So we've got mountain on top and fire on bottom is the two trigrams that make up P, which is grace, and it's figure 22. And grace, is grace like divine forgiveness or something? I've been after a definition of grace for decades, and I've yet to find a good one. But it's a word people use in conversation and context, and it sort of fits, you know, but it hasn't clicked as a definite concept or idea yet. Maybe in another decade. Okay, inside the strength of simplicity and self-knowledge, okay? Outside, the beauty of acceptance and gentleness. All right. Still training concubines, I see. All right, fair enough. That's grace. I'll work on it. I'll work on it. Okay. Acceptance, gentleness. I'll gently accept whatever comes to us from the German 1930s. Wait a minute. Wilhelm, he passed away at the beginning of the 1930s, so he didn't get to see things get really special over there. Anyway, okay, so we're reading the introduction to Richard Wilhelm's I Ching, and this introduction, thankfully, is by Richard Wilhelm, so it's only 12% as irritating as an introduction by Carl Jung. All right. Are we good? We're ready to go? Let's do this. Did you notice the chair is new? It doesn't squeak as much. It's like, yeah, that other one I'd been using for 6 years, and it was squeaky, and bolts had come out of it, and I was kind of like, if I was leaning back watching something, a part of me was thinking I was risking my life just this much. So now I feel, you know, more stable. It's leatherette.
Warm. Leatherette. Warm. Leatherette. Warm.
It isn't warm leatherette. That's a cover of Grace Jones, by the way. Here's the original.
Leatherette. Leatherette.
I think that means it's plastic, right? Doesn't matter. Okay. Either we're killing animals or we're making stuff out of petroleum, right? Okay, let's do this. The Book of Wisdom. Of far greater significance than the use of the Book of Changes as an oracle is its other use, namely, as a book of wisdom. Nice. Okay. So far, so good. I've talked recently, I think, about... Gosh, it's still raining. About how tarot can be approached as something other than... And astrology. I recommend, looking at astrology in terms of, people want to make it like INFJ or whatever, the personality types, and okay, well, how did the dice get rolled on my nativity that results in my specific personality as different from other people's personalities? And I think I see too much emphasis on difference in many people, so I find myself wanting to emphasize similarity. But in a vacuum, I come off as being disproportionately representative of similarity, and not enough acknowledging of difference. But as far as just an approach toward astrology and tarot that reflects what he just said in that one sentence, if you look at the 12 parts of yourself, rather than being oh, well, I'm a Virgo, you're a Pisces, so you wouldn't understand. Instead of dividing up the universe pie or the rainbow pie and claiming your piece against that other piece, it might be more I don't know, psychologically healthy to claim the whole rainbow as your own, regardless of your sexual orientation, but no, to be okay, what is this? And okay, and then kind of do a deep dive into that, all things Pisces, moon card, all this. And then, okay, Aquarius. And then instead of thinking, oh, yeah, that guy, he's an Aquarius, oh, he's, whatever, shared history or conflict you've had with that person that then you associate carelessly and haphazardly with the zodiacal sign, and then you have an animosity toward the zodiacal sign. It's you can play games. I mean, by all means, play games. Play whatever games you'd like. I just would like to let anybody who's listening know that it's a game and that you don't have to play it, and there's much more sophisticated ways to approach these things. All right. Sorry. And same with tarot. You can dive into each card without worrying about which card's going to pop up next, and my future is the Tower card. Oh shit, and then someone has to come along. Okay, that can be a good thing, if you are surfing on a brick, riding down, going wee, instead of oh no, right? Where were we? Okay, Lao Tzu knew this book, and some of his profoundest aphorisms were inspired by it. Oh, Lao Tzu, yeah, from Tao Te Ching, that guy. Indeed, his whole thought is permeated with its teachings. Confucius, too, knew the Book of Changes and devoted himself to reflection upon it. I recently in Mumbai went to a Chinese restaurant, and there was a statue of Confucius right there. Yeah, that's fun, isn't it? Quite fun indeed. The only problem is, at least according to Google, that is not Confucius, but Guan Yu, the god of war. Anyway, oh, fuck it. Royal China. It's the reason to go to Mumbai. They've got far better sweet and sour anything than anyone in Mumbai. I mean, anyone in Goa. In Goa, they'll put it on the menu, but they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know how to make sweet and sour chicken. The Book of Changes, as edited and annotated by Confucius, is the version that has come down to our time. Okay. If we inquire as to the philosophy that pervades the book, we can confine ourselves to a few basically important concepts. The underlying idea of the whole, with a WH, is the idea of change. It is related in the Analects, Milieu 9:16. This book comprises conversations of Confucius and his disciples. Oh, nice. Is that in this book, or is that a different book? That Confucius, standing by a river, said, quote, "Everything flows on and on like this river, without pause, day and night." End quote. This expresses the idea of change. He who has perceived the meaning of change fixes his attention no longer on transitory individual things, but on the immutable, eternal law at work in all change. This law is the Tao of Lao Tzu. The course of things... What? Weren't you talking about Confucius? That's a little bit of a... Okay. Sort of like saying, so Moses said, "This is the law." That's Jesus. Okay, maybe Lao Tzu and Confucius aren't as different as Jesus and Moses, but certainly one came first. And never mind, so we'll just keep reading. Richard Wilhelm knows better than me about this shit. All right, stuff. Excuse me. The course of things, the principle of the one in the many. Right. That it may become manifest, a decision, a postulate, is necessary. This fundamental postulate is the, quote, great primal beginning and, quote, of all that exists, Tai Chi, in its original meaning, the ridgepole. Let's bring up the tone scale. So postulates is up here. So the only thing keeping you from serenity of beingness is not being able to transcend your own postulates that you either went into agreement with or gave birth to in the past. Take that for what it's worth. It's not really related to this necessarily, but at least not. So it goes Confucius, he's the oldest, then Lao Tzu, a little bit younger, then L. Ron Hubbard, way younger. So he might have been drawing from them, but they weren't drawing from him, obviously. Never mind. We won't bring Scientology into it. That's where it gets weird. People will be like, I didn't unsubscribe for the Chinese stuff. I done unsubscribe because of the L. Ron Hubbard, right? I don't know. Doesn't matter. The ridgepole. Later Chinese philosophers devoted much thought to this idea of a primal beginning. A still earlier beginning, Wu Qi, was represented by the symbol of a circle. Under this conception, Tai Chi was represented by the circle divided into light and dark, Yang or Yang and Yin. Okay? This symbol has also played a significant part in India and Europe. Okay. However, speculations of a Gnostic dualistic character are foreign to the original thought of the I Ching. What it posits is simply the ridgepole, the line. With this line, which in itself represents oneness, duality comes into the world, for the line at the same time posits an above and a below, a right and a left, front and back. In a word, the world of opposites.
We come together, 'cause opposites attract, and you know, it ain't fiction, just the natural fact. We come together, 'cause opposites attract.
I remember, my grandma subscribed to, gave me a subscription to Boys Life magazine, which is like a Christian magazine for boys, you know, and I because of this magazine, I'm pretty sure that song and Personal Jesus by Depeche Mode came out at around the same time, because the magazine was saying that you shouldn't listen to Paula Abdul because in the lyrics she's talking about she makes the bed and he steals the covers, but they're not married. And then how Depeche Mode, you might think, is talking about Christian things because he's talking about a personal Jesus, and it sounds like, oh, this sounds like wholesome. But if you look at the album cover, it has a picture of a woman's backside on it. So my mom and I were like laughing at this shit in the Boys Life magazine, turning up the personal Jesus on the Paul Abdul. So 2 generations removed from madness and fundamentalism. And it's only 1/4. The other 3 of my grandparents were... Never mind. No, my grandma was all right. She just had that orientation. What? Yes. I don't know. Yeah, these opposites became known under the names yin and yang and created a great stir, especially in the transition period between the Qin and Han dynasties. I've been watching these little animated YouTube videos about different stages in Chinese history, but they haven't all clicked together and formed a picture yet. But I think, anyway, in the centuries just before our era, when there was an entire school of yin-yang doctrine, at that time, we in the neophyte ceremony, they talk about the pillars Yakin and Boaz are related to yin and yang. And then we had this one guy, VMP, hello, he was in the Mather's Ring episode. I think he was the 5th in there. But anyway, you can find that. And he would say yin and yang. It's like, oh, it's pronouncing it more correctly, I think, right? So that's where my brain is going when you hear me say yin and yang. All right, in the centuries just before our era, when there was an entire school of yin-yang doctrine. Okay, at that time, the Book of Changes was much in use as a book of magic, and people read into the text all sorts of things not originally there. This doctrine of yin and yang, of the female and the male as primal principles, has naturally also attracted much attention among foreign students of Chinese thought. Following the usual bent, some of these have predicated it in a primitive phallic symbolism with all the accompanying connotations. Well, yeah. To the disappointment of such discoverers, it must be said that there is nothing to indicate this in the original meaning of the words yin and yang. In its primary meaning, yin is the cloudy, the overcast, and yang means actually banners waving in the sun. You ever tie a flag to your flagpole? No. See, foreigners, right? Okay. That is something, quote, shown upon. Did I ever tell you, the Ferengi? Maybe not. So in Star Trek, the medium, middle-aged Star Trek, not the 60s, but the 80s and 90s, they introduced the Ferengi, which had big ears, and they were all about, making money and cheating, making contracts and then breaking the contracts, because if you're not a Ferengi, then they don't need to honor their contract with you. Turns out Ferengi is like Hindi slang for foreigners. So I'm thinking someone in the writer's room was making a little bit of a comment there. That's kind of fun. Anyway, so yeah, Ferengi. Someone called me a gringo. Gringo's if you're a white guy in Mexico. I'm a Ferengi technically. So okay, what sort of like gaijin. That is something, quote, shown upon, end quote, or bright. By transference, the two concepts were applied to the light and dark sides of a mountain or of a river. In the case of a mountain, the southern side is bright and the northern side is dark. While in the case, if you're in the northern hemisphere, Mr. Northern Hemisphere normative. Never mind. Okay. The the default human is a cis hetero white male in the northern hemisphere, after all, right? No. It is the northern side that is bright, yang or yang, because it reflects the light. It is the southern side that is in shadow, yin. Thence the two expressions were carried over into the Book of Changes and applied to the two alternating primal states of being. It should be pointed out, however, that the terms yin and yang do not occur in this derived sense either in the actual text of the book or in the oldest commentaries. Their first occurrence is in the Great Commentary, which already shows Taoistic influence in some parts. In the commentary on the decision, the terms used for the opposites are the firm and the yielding, not yin and yang. I think the firm and the yielding have a little bit more connotations than, never mind. However, no matter what names are applied to these forces, it is certain that the world of being arises out of their change and interplay. Thus, change is conceived of partly as the continuous transformation of the one force into the other, and partly as the cycle of complexes of phenomena in themselves connected, such as day and night, summer and winter. Change is not meaningless. If it were, there could be no knowledge of it, but subject to the universal law, Tao. I think a thing can be meaningless and you can have knowledge of it. Okay, continuing. The second theme fundamental to the Book of Changes is its theory of ideas. The 8 trigrams are images not so much of objects as of states of change. This view is associated with the concept expressed in the teachings of Lao Tzu, as also in those of Confucius, that every event in the visible world is the effect of an image, that is, of an idea in the unseen world. Accordingly, everything that happens on earth is only a reproduction, as it were, of an event in a world beyond our sense perception. Oh, so Platonic, right? No, not really, maybe. As regards its occurrence in time, it is later than the suprasensible event. The holy men and sages who are in contact with those higher spheres have access to these ideas through direct intuition and are therefore able to intervene decisively in events in the world. Thus, man is linked with heaven, the suprasensible world of ideas, and with earth, the material world of visible things, to form with these a trinity of the primal powers. Oh, right, okay. So man, heaven, and earth. That's the trinity of primal powers. Cool. This theory of ideas is applied in a twofold sense. The Book of Changes, is that different from the Book of Wisdom? The Book of Wisdom, the Book of Changes? I think maybe that's Book of Wisdom is a name for it. Things will become more clear as we go on. The Book of Changes shows the images of events and also the unfolding of conditions in statu nascendi, with no footnote. Editor Edward, the Mr. Wilhelm forgot to translate the Latin. Could you do that for us? In the state of being born, or in the state of emergence. Thank you. I guess it was actually the lady Blake, what's her name? Cameron Blake? What the fuck are you talking about, Edward? You know, the English translator. I always say, if you're translating something into English and there's a Latin phrase just thrown in, give us a little bit of parentheses. Not everybody knows all the Latin phrases. Not everybody, I'm just saying. Anyway, thus, in discerning with its help the seeds of things to come, we learn to foresee the future as well as to understand the past. There's still a tickling in my throat I didn't know I had until I tried talking for 45 minutes. In this way, the images on which the hexagrams are based serve as patterns for timely action in the situations indicated, not only as adaptation to the course of nature thus made possible, but in the Great Commentary, Part 2, Chapter 2, an interesting attempt is made to trace back the origins of all the practices and inventions of civilization to such ideas and archetypal images. Whether or not the hypothesis can be made to apply in all specific instances, the basic concept contains a truth. Are we near? No, okay, I'll finish this section. The third element fundamental to the Book of Changes are the judgments. The judgments clothe the images in words, as it were. They indicate whether a given action will bring good fortune or misfortune, remorse or humiliation. The judgments make it possible for a man to make a decision to desist from a course of action indicated by the situation of the moment, but harmful in the long run. In this way, he makes himself independent of the tyranny of events, in its judgments, and in the interpretations attached to it from the time of Confucius on. The Book of Changes opens to the reader the richest treasure of Chinese wisdom. At the same time, it affords him a comprehensive view of the varieties of human experience, enabling him thereby to shape his life of his own sovereign will into an organic whole, and so to direct it that it comes into accord with the ultimate Tao lying at the root of all that exists. Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing hints toward something that I am also, like, you've heard me try feebly attempt when my brain is scrambled. It's even harder, but I don't know. I think some bits come through now and then, but to look at the 12 signs, or to look at the 7 genders, or to look at various cultures, and to not say, okay, I am this. This is the exact kind of box that I fit into. Not to ignore the reflections that, okay, yeah, this is the color of my hair. I can dye it, but this is how it grows naturally. Okay. But rather than being like, so that makes me identify with these people as separate from these people, or what my plumbing looks like, or what my country of origin, what the language I speak. These things, again, with the separation and the similarity, or the sameness, the oneness, versus the separateness. What are we talking about? So yeah, so it's saying take the whole Book of Changes, and you get this whole big thing of wisdom that can enhance your sovereignty. You know, like your in other words, you're not giving over your free will to a coin toss, right? Which is kind of the surface level way to misunderstand it, or maybe the way that some people actually approach it. Same with tarot, same with astrology. In other words, I don't know the answer to something that could come from within or directly from source through intuition, so I'm going to ask this specialist in these ones and zeros, or in these this form that they give me the answer. Okay, that's the answer. Okay, now I know. Like, again, with the games, you can play that game, but if you read the whole rule book of the game and then don't play the game, then it will enrich your life. Maybe a bit, or at least give you another set of symbols. So I mean, that's like, am I making sense? So if you learn a language, if you learn the Cyrillic alphabet, then, that's a little bit like learning astrology or I Ching. If you want objective reality, then check out the DNA alphabet by very honored Frater BT. This is the one and only language that was written by God himself, and that we can observe. See the word. Anyway, I wrote this. You can check it out. I'll put a link in the description below. So yeah, those are my partially formed, scattered thoughts that are distributed like so many tea leaves at the bottom of a diviner's cup, for you to, look at and interpret in a way that kind of makes me frown and go, what? How did you get that out of... No, it's okay. It's the nature of the world that communication, when communication within one single person's brain fails, then how do we expect it to get, okay, translate this feeling into a string of words, make the words come out of the mouth, and then choose the wrong words, and then stumble over which word you're looking for and use a different word that seems like it fits just as well, but actually has a specific definition that's kind of different and specific and unrelated, and then it's going to remind other people of this thing in pop culture that you're not aware of, and then when they come back and they're, okay, I've heard what you've said, and this is my response, and you go, how is that a response to anything that was going on in my head? Well, it's not. It's a game. It's a game. No. We try. We do our best. And I think after a couple more days, my brain will be in full working order, and we can go forward from there. But this is a red and white 14, and this is getting toward the end of the episode. Longtime viewers know what that means. It means that this is the point in the episode where we do this.
15. So that's how it is in their therapy sessions.
Some people are into that shit. And recording videos for each other on YouTube.
So it's a little more smooth.
Not going to be cruel, but you have grown old.
You're older than you've ever been, and now you're even older.
So she takes her clothes off. What little sense it makes is wrong.
Spider or something.
Huh. Anyway.
Do they know it's Christmas time?
No, they don't. I entreat and supplicate thee. Through the hymning the intelligible light, I rejoice in the joyfulness of mine. And now we've arrived at present time. Like that scene in Spaceballs where they're looking at the movie while they're making the movie, and so it's the same thing on the screen that's on the screen while they're watching it. And anyway, so that's 14 of the 15. The next one is going to be the yellow and green. And if I have any more links, I would wholeheartely invite you. I'm gonna link you at the end screen to the 15 CPCPs if you want an intro to the intros to the CPCPs. But I'm also gonna give you a preview instead of doing the red and white, because you just had the red and white experience. You don't need a 6 more. It hasn't been actually that long. We haven't been doing the preview thing since the beginning of Chicken Philosophy, only the past 8 months. I have no idea how long we've been doing it, but anyway. So I just recently did a yellow and green compilation video, which was the first, I want to say 24, 33, the first 20 something probably of the, so clips from the BT doing Meccan Revelations. It's fun, I think. Is it the most fun of all of them, the weird compilation videos? I don't know. I don't think so. But that's what's up next. And when he does that, then the Ashram 15 will be complete. And there will be 15 little cards on the screen where right now there's only 14. And it will actually be, a whole picture. And then after that, the video called the Ashram 15 will come out. And that will run through the 15 themselves, and I have a lot of fun making those. Those are the original compilation videos, sort of. I mean, it started out a long time ago with the one called the cycle of 12 before there was a cycle of 15. Anyway, yeah. So that's it, and we did it. We got through to the other side of this one, and I hope that you have a wonderful week. Oh, and welcome to the crab, for those of you into that sort of thing. Hey, that looks nice, doesn't it? Make a weird thumbnail face. I don't know if I'll use this as the thumbnail, but maybe I will. All right. That goes all the way back to, this was the original White Petal episode, so that's a throwback a little bit. Those are from Oscar, a store called Oscar. And yeah, okay, so sometime in the relatively near future will be a Padmasambhava episode on Buddhist books, and then after that it'll be BT doing Meccan Revelations, then we'll do the Ashram 15 video. So that'll be coming out probably this week, those things. I'll take it slow. I'm not gonna, sometimes I get going to where I'm putting out an episode every day, but it took a lot for me to put up this one episode today, and or it'll probably come out tomorrow because I'm recording this in the evening. I'm actually recording this on Monday evening, so it'll probably come out sometime Tuesday, so you might end up seeing it Tuesday morning if you're watching it as soon as it comes out. But yeah, I hope you're doing well, and I hope this one was okay. And all right, sweet. We'll see how many unsubscribe from the Chinese stuff. We're up to 575. Not that I'm counting, but it's kind of like, wow, it's the highest it's ever been. But it doesn't take much for those numbers to go down, because people see one thing. People will hit subscribe from 20-30 seconds of something and be like, oh, I like this. This is a subject I'm interested in. And then obviously, me. There's more than one, and there's different subjects, and there's different moods, and so anything that tickles someone's other fancy or rubs them the wrong way, then they're going, oh, no, I thought I liked this, but I don't, turns out. So, okay. Fair enough. So, the filter thing, the water, the fire, the rationality, the woo-woo-ness, all... whatever, doesn't matter. Enjoy your life, enjoy your day, and we're all dancing in this fire flower of now together, right? And separately. Until next time, 15 CPCPs, yellow and green. Pick one. Till then.